100 to 800 AD, an incredibly evil society emerges in Khazaria. Khazarians develop into a nation ruled by an evil king, who had ancient Babylonian black arts, occult oligarchs serving as his court. During this time, Khazarians become known to surrounding countries, as thieves, murderers, road bandits, and for assuming the identities of those travelers, they murdered as a normal occupational practice and way of life. 800 AD. The ultimatum is delivered by Russia and other surrounding nations. The leaders of the surrounding nations, especially Russia, have had so many years of complaints by their citizens that, as a group, they deliver an ultimatum to the Khazarian king. They send a communique to the Khazarian king that he must choose one of the three Abrahamic religions for his people, and make it his official state religion, and require all Khazarian citizens to practice it, and socialize all Khazarian children to practice that faith. The Khazarian king was given a choice between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. The Khazarian king chose Judaism, and promised to stay within the requirements laid out by the surrounding Confederacy of Nations, led by the Russian Tsar. Despite his agreement and promise, the Khazarian king, and his inner circle of oligarchs kept practicing ancient Babylonian black magic, also known as secret Satanism. This secret Satanism involved occult ceremonies, featuring child sacrifice, after bleeding them out, drinking their blood and eating their hearts. The deep dark secret of the occult ceremonies, was that they were all based on ancient Baal worship, also known as worship of the owl. In order to fool the Confederacy of Nations led by Russia, that were watching Khazaria, the Khazarian king melded these Luciferian black magic practices, with Judaism and created a secret satanic hybrid religion, known as Babylonian Talmudism. This was made the national religion of Khazaria, and nurtured the same evil that Khazaria was known for before. Sadly, the Khazarians continued their evil ways, robbing and murdering those from surrounding countries who traveled through Khazaria. Khazarian robbers often attempted to assume their identities, after they murdered these visitors, and became masters of disguises and false identities, a practice they have continued even to this very day, along with their child sacrifice occult ceremonies, which are actually ancient Baal worship. 1200 AD. Russia and the surrounding nations have had enough and take action. About 1200 AD, the Russians led a group of nations surrounding Khazaria, and invaded it, in order to stop the Khazarian crimes against their people, which included kidnapping of their young children, and infants for their blood sacrifice ceremonies to Baal. The Khazarian king and his inner court of criminals and murderers came to be known as the Khazarian Mafia, KM, by neighboring countries. The Khazarian leaders had a well-developed spy network, through which they obtained prior warning, and escaped from Khazaria to European nations to the west, taking their vast fortune with them in gold and silver. They laid low and regrouped, while assuming new identities. In secret, they continued their satanic child blood and sacrifice rituals, and trusted Baal to give them the whole world, and all its riches, as they claimed he had promised them, as long as they kept bleeding out and sacrificing children and infants for him. The Khazarian king and his court mafia, plotted eternal revenge against the Russians, and the surrounding nations, that invaded Khazaria, and drove them from power. To be continued in episode 2.